Good afternoon and welcome back to the West Ham Network. I am Anton, and today I am bringing you the David Moyes press conference in relation to the Liverpool game. So if you are new around here, please go and click that subscribe button just at the bottom there, somewhere on the screen, depending on what device you're watching on. Click that subscribe button, and then beside that little button will also be a little bell. If you click that bell notification, that will notify you when our shows go live. But thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you are all safe and well. And listen, we've come off the back of a disappointing defeat to Southampton in the FA Cup, and we all thought it was going to be a fantastic FA Cup run this year. You know, one of the domestic cups, League Cup, FA Cup, but we're still fighting it now, fighting it out in the Europa League. I will be going, got my ticket, buzzing, can't wait, flying out. And got the accommodation all hooked up and looking forward to a fun day out, and fingers crossed we can go and get a result against Seville. People will always be going, listen, we can't beat a second string Southampton side. How are we going to go out there and do a job against Seville, Sevilla? But at the end of the day, it just all relates to the challenge we've got. We've got a big challenge. We've got something we need to do, and you know, I think the players can rise to the occasion. And yeah, it's disappointing. It's disappointing when you don't get the right results over the line, and that does have a negative impact on, you know, the fan base and stuff like that. But we need to remain positive. We need to remember the situation we're in. I'm seeing a lot of comments and a lot of people saying things like, "Oh, the season's done," or "the season will be over in about 10 days' time." But for me, it's not. For me, it's not. There's still plenty of games to go in the Premier League. There's still time to go in the Europa League. I'm not taking away from the fact that I'm disappointed. Of course, I'm disappointed. I wanted an FA Cup run and I wanted a League Cup run. It's really vital. And as you can see from the title today, we need a bigger squad. And Moyes is kind of, for the first time, really saying it. He's kind of roundabout way has said, and he's never kind of came away from the fact that says he wants to strengthen the squad. And we'll talk about what he says in the press conference. He's always stated that he's looked for players, but I think what you're seeing now is games that maybe we maybe could have dragged a point from, or we could have got through to the next round if we had maybe had that little bit of strength in depth, which of course we didn't have and don't have, really, to be honest. But he does address that in the press conference as well. I'm going to jump through the chat, see who's kicking about, and then we'll get started on the presser as well. Neil T's in the house. Good afternoon, mate. Hope you're well. Good to see you. Anthony, we are an academy of football. Why don't we use our youngsters? I completely agree with that sentiment. I think Moyes has got his eyes on a few of the players, but at the end of the day, he has always stipulated that he likes working with a small squad. And the small squad he's wanting to work with is the 14 or 15 senior players that we've predominantly seen this season. It does annoy me slightly because I'm thinking to myself, well, there are young players there that I think that could make the step up. Obviously, he wants to take his time with those players a little bit more, but it's each to their own, really. And yeah, I get that, and we are. Lauren, good to see you. Hope you are well. Thank you for joining us. Anthony, again, giving us the fist pump. Mice Collective, I agree, we need a squad. We must believe in the strength in numbers. I can't handle you, mate. I can't handle you. NWO, wait, has Moyes just realised this? No, I don't. I don't want to make this video come across like he's just realised that. It's just the first time he's really said it out loud. He has always alluded to the fact about it as well. Nope, exactly. We need a big squad. It's bloody obvious. It's true. Bruno, 10 shins. Hello, you Irons. Hello, good to see you. JP London, unbelievable. NWO, not bothered about dropping out of the FA Cup. Should have rested players for Prem and the Euro. Mark Alexander, afternoon all. Just reading Sevilla have injury problems. Yes, they do. As potentially do Liverpool as well. Because and make sure tonight you do join myself and a few of the other lads when we're doing the preview tonight. So make sure you do join us. We'll be talking a lot about that and what potentially injury concerns they do have moving forward for the game. Sorry, I'm having to do something in the background here. Can you all hear me okay? Please let me know if you can hear me okay. That would be really cool if you could just quickly let me know. I just don't want to move forward if you can't hear me okay. Let me just double check that and see. Let's quickly jump down, make sure you can all hear me. I think you can. It sounds like I think you can as well. Lauren Rose says, I hope it's the 11 first team players. Andrew is saying, afternoon, and I hear what people say about being out of the cup. We have improved massively over the last 10 years. Any diehard West Ham fan will know it's never an easy ride, but West Ham till I die. Absolutely. NWO, hard to knock Moyes, but he has failed to get forward in 3 windows. Depends on how you look at it. NWO, again, I'm doing this video, I'm giving you my personal opinion. I'm trying my best to be kind of sticking in the middle, but you can see it 2 ways. You can definitely see it 2 ways, but there's no ifs or buts about it. Like we should have brought people in, and it would have definitely benefited the situation we're in just now. The Hazri, afternoon, Anton lad. Good to see you, Hazri, mate. Black Country Hammer, hi everybody. NWO saying it's a wasted opportunity. Sound is good. Thank you very much. Lauren Rose. Yep, there you go. Luthers in the house here in loud and clear, Anton. Thank you, Neil T. Thank you, Scott. Good to see you, mate. Hope you are well. Where's Russ? I was working at Hornchurch Station last night. You should have called him, mate. You should have called him or put a message out and said that as well. And he'd have came and seen you. We haven't the squad for 2 cups and hopefully 4th in the Prem. West Ham TV. In the Moyes, I trust. Good afternoon, all you happy hammers. Scott R saying, I honestly want 3 to 4 youngsters tomorrow so we can play our best 11 versus Sevilla. Let's see Forson, Alessi, Okaflex, and maybe one more. I think it would be nice to see if we could see some young players. But I don't know if he will. But we'll come into the press conference in a second. Moyes blew in 2. Audio's fine for you. Billy Bob's in the house. Good to see you, mate. How has the Messiah not brought us forward? The Mice Collective reached out and have decided to lend our ears, not birds, only votes in the eyes of the cause. May Zuma's cat be behind the bars forever. Did you see Yarmolenko's comment on Russia, Anton? I've seen some of the stuff he was been saying about it, and he's really not happy. I've not checked anything over the last little while, but yeah, I feel really sorry for him. We'll talk about that in the press conference as well. What worries me is that Moyes couldn't find the players in the last window. We'll be able to in the summer window. To be honest, I think there was a bit of cat and mouse, excuse the pun, about what was actually West Ham were going to do. A lot of players were interested in and have been interested in. Contracts were coming to an end this summer, so I think that might have dictated what he was looking at doing moving forward. So we just got to believe that. To be honest, I can see. I don't want to. I'm going to jump ahead slightly. I'll talk about it when we come on to that part. But I can see players like Tarkowski. I can see Lingard. I can see players like Coletta Carr. You're talking about 3 players there that would have no fee to bring them in to strengthen the squad. So that'll be interesting. Fremar, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. The frustration of not letting the transfers is compounded by a lack of subs coming from the younger guys. Also, Vinay says, "Thanks, committee. We must keep up the pressure." Yeah, we absolutely should. Anyway, let me jump into the team news. And the first question was there any injury or fresh injury concerns? So we went on to speak about team news. And he said, like everybody, we've got a few injuries and a few players out, but we've also got some players coming back. Ryan Fredericks is doing better, and so is Arthur Masuaku. We've got a concern about Tommy Soucek because of the stitches in his head, but we're probably no different to any other club. We've got some injuries. Now, listen, Tommy Soucek, for me, he's going to be fine. He's going to be able to play. If you think about boxing, I know it's an open wound. It's stitched up. They'll probably give him one of those bands. I think he wore one of them before. And I actually said, like, well, I've not been on the show actually, but I've never seen a West Ham player in my career in a short space of time take as many head knocks, cuts, bruises to his face than Tommy Soucek. He literally throws his body on the line every single occasion. I know this was a kind of wild hand, but he does literally throw his... Honestly, as soon as I seen that the hand hit his head or the elbow hit his head, I was like, the guy's like, he's going to have a big gash. He must have scar after scar after scar down his face. And then I see people's comments about Soucek. And again, I don't know if I agree. I really don't know if I agree, but we can come on to that in a second. We know that Ryan Fredericks was missing because he had a calf strain. And if he is back, that's good. I just don't see him playing because I think his pace would be good against Liverpool, but I just don't think anyone's going to knock off Ben Johnson right now either. And then, of course, it's good news, hopefully, that Masuaku is back on the training pitch. Well, it's good news depending on who you are, I suppose, at the end of the day. Let me jump on to the next comment, and it is on Yarmolenko. So the question was, he wasn't involved in Wednesday. Has he been training, and will he be available tomorrow? Have you made that decision? He said he has been training, but he won't travel to Liverpool. He's not quite ready, and we need to give him the opportunity to be with his family. We can only give him our full support. We continually ask if there's anything we can do. It's a difficult situation. I spoke with him this morning. It's really difficult because nobody's been in these circumstances before. Coming into training sometimes makes things a little bit better for him. We want to do everything we possibly can for him and his family. I feel helpless in as much as we as a country, not just me as a manager. I feel like we can't do enough. We're all helpless, really. And do you know what? Fair play to David Moyes and fair play. You know, the situation is horrible. No one should be under the circumstances that Yarmolenko's in. And you can clearly see if you follow him on social media how much this is impacting him. And I'm only talking because it's Yarmolenko and he's a West Ham player. It absolutely affects absolutely everybody. But when you've got a really strong connection, you're from that country, your family are potentially there, which is what we heard in the week, that his family were actually there and he was going to go fly out and bring them home. Don't know how true it was. Don't know if it actually happened. However, we're hoping that his family are safe and he's brought them home. And his head, he seems to have he's not handling it well. I mentioned how some people can throw themselves into their work when things like that happen, when negative situations happen. People throw themselves into their work, and that's how people sometimes get through these circumstances. But it seems to be that this has really heavily affected Yarmolenko, and he's not going to be travelling with the squad tomorrow. And listen, from everyone at the West Ham Network, from everyone in a human rights, a humanitarian, like, I wish everyone in Ukraine to be safe. And fingers crossed we can get this over and done with and pushed away to the side, because it's an absolutely ridiculous situation. I don't want to get into any form of politics either, but we'll see. Let me jump into the comments before I move on to the next. Chris is saying, wouldn't surprise me if we make £200 million on Rice and Bowen, and then GSP sell the club in 2023. Nice collective agreed committee. That cat's caused so much suffering. I think Liverpool will not have it easy tomorrow. NWO says Soucek needs a rest. I don't think he does, mate. Ryan and Arthur coming back fills me with confidence. Chris begs Montana. Oh wait, I thought he only preferred a smaller group and couldn't find any players than he currently has. Now he is seeing what was apparently obvious. Andrew, I think Moyes was given so much money at manure that he just bought to please the fans and failed. I can understand why he's patient here. I believe he has passion for West Ham and wants to do the best, and I completely agree with that. I do think he does as well. And again, listen, I don't want to beat about the bush. I'm going to say it straight as it is. We do these shows every single week, especially the press conference. And the question he was asked all the time, and we'll come on to the summer window in a second when he's asked about it, but the question he was asked week in and week out, are you bringing in players? You're bringing in players. And he consistently says, I'm not bringing someone in for the sake of it. You may think, I mean, there's one player in particular, the big lad from Genk, that we were linked to, and Moyes came out and said we were never linked to him because I never ever wanted him. And that just shows you, like, you know, sometimes the media played the game. You know, people were accusing our channel of doing that as well, but we put disclaimer out every single time we've done a show on a transfer saying we're not saying we're linked to the player, and if we are linked to it in the mainstream media, what we're going to do is look and see how they can fit within our system at West Ham, and then try and build and work out, is that a genuine link or is it not? And the player that came from Genk was never, ever a genuine link to the club, which was what I found really interesting as well. Chris Beggs is saying he should attack this next summer window and as aggressive as possible. Committee of Small Garden Birds and Voles. The lack of cheese. What is going on? I just realised the name. Like, what is going on? I love it. Ludders is saying, surely if there was many of frees, then other clubs will also be interested in them. Players also will have a less chance of getting them. I completely agree with that sentiment as well, Ludders. But, it's about, there's players that I do think that clubs will be interested, other clubs will be interested in. But the players that we're talking about are the Tarkowskis, are the Lingards, right? So let's talk about those two players very briefly for a second. What other clubs would be interested in? What can West Ham offer to these players that other clubs can't? So for me, if West Ham are kind of falling into that kind of top 7, top 8, apart from the top 4, who are probably going to attract a better quality in terms of on paper quality player, then why are the Chelseas, the Man Cities, the Manchester United, the Liverpools going to be looking at Jesse Lingard and Tarkowski of the world? I just can't see it. So that really leaves the next bunch of teams sitting there looking at these players. And I think then they compete for that kind of player. And if I was that player looking in and what Moyes is building, and potentially with Europe next year, I seen Russ's show earlier on, and he said that, either way, I think we'll qualify for some form of European competition. And if we don't, then do you know what? But if we do, whether it be the Conference or Europa League or the Champions League, you've always got that. And you've got to look back at the last 2 seasons and think West Ham have progressed as a club. So I can see how that may pay dividends to West Ham progressing and looking at a particular player and maybe at that point looking like a more attractive proposition, and then build, you bring in these players that fit the system with a couple of other, like spending the transfer fee, and suddenly you've got a strong unit of a side, and you're building that side around Declan Rice. I seen what Russ was saying earlier on and what Still said in the past. I completely agree with the sentiment. Like, you've got a squad and the World Cup's coming in the winter, then, will we sell in the summer? Will he want to go in the summer and be disrupted? Because everyone wants a place in the summer. So the summer window might not be as vibrant as what many people think, but it might be vibrant for players that are playing for a chance to get into international side, etc. But any of the big top-notch players, I really can't massively see leaving their clubs. So it's going to be what Moyes is capable of doing, finding, if you're Alex Kroll, say, for example, Alex Kroll's not played any games. So that's why I'll be heavily shocked if West Ham signed him in the summer, because he's going to need assurances that he's going to play. Because if he doesn't play, he's not going to get chosen for the squad. I don't even know if the Czech Republic are in the squad, but you get my sentiment behind that. You get the sentiment behind that. So it will make for interesting reading come the summer. NWO says Moyes has worked miracles, but you can't help but question the lack of transfers. Absolutely. But we just don't know where it's coming from. But equally, NWO, I agree with the sentiment, but equally we have to say that he does not just bring in people for the sake of it. He addresses it in the press conference as we go along. Type Moyes has done better than Leicester. I wonder if I should actually just bring up the slide that he talks about this summer. It makes sense. There's no point in me not beating about the bush. I'll bring up the part where they actually spoke about it. He said Moyes on the squad depth. And he actually replied, let me find the exact part here. Let me see. I'm just trying to find it. The exact kind of question. Right. So when West Ham lose matches, there are always questions about lack of squad depth and lack of signings. What do you make of that? His reply today was, do you think we did not try? That we did not make offers? Do you think we do not know we need a bigger squad? So he addresses that. He absolutely addresses that. And he goes straight in for the kill and says, we, of course, know that we do. He said, Rome wasn't built in a day. I want to continue building West Ham. The room West Ham has for growth and the potential West Ham has to get better, we're aware of that. Not all signings work. And you can think of lots of clubs who have spent lots of money and it hasn't worked. It takes quite a lot of thought in trying to get the right player with the right character who fits what you want to do, and trying to spend the money that West Ham supporters have put into the club as wisely as I can. And honestly, I have to highlight a lot of the things he said there. To spend the money the West Ham supporters have put into the club as wisely as I can. Over the last 3 or 4 seasons or 6 seasons or whatever you want to say, how much money hasn't been spent wisely? But, a lot of players have came in for short-term gain, but long-term pain. It's so true. Just take yourself back to the moment we signed Sebastian Haller, Felipe Anderson, Issa Diop, Yarmolenko, Pablo Fornals, under Pellegrini. Just take yourself back to that window and look how things panned out. You felt great, but in the long term, we felt like crap. And it's so true. It's like you go on a night out and you drink shots, because at the time you think, I'm going to feel great. I feel amazing. It's fun. It's buzzing. You wake up the next day and you feel like crap. You feel utterly like crap. But then someone says to you, let's go on a night out, and you drink water. And you're like, oh, well, at the time I'm feeling a bit bored. I'm not going to drink water. I'm not doing water. And then you wake up the next day and you feel great. You feel great for the foreseeable. And for me, I totally believe the system that David Moyes is trying to do. It pisses people off. But I have to totally believe that he is doing the right thing for the club. I genuinely do. And that's not even me being a half glass full guy. That's me just listening to what he's saying. And he is backing up everything he's saying. He's not backing it up. And he's kind of alluded today that he's saying we need a bigger squad, but he's never not alluded to the fact we needed a bigger squad. He's consistently said we need players, but I'm not bringing someone in for the sake of it. He's not going to bring in a Sebastian Hallers who came at the club and didn't, people can argue whether he played well or not. I'm not going to bring in the Felipe Andersons who are just going to come and do a bit part job. I need players who are going to come and work for this club. And when I bring in the Jesse Lingards of the world, and it's not that he didn't fight for Jesse Lingard, Man United, put their foot down and held it out and didn't want to do it. So, hey-ho, I mean, that's just where I'm at. Mark Alexander, JSB has the 9th highest transfer spend in the Prem since their takeover in 2010. Did anyone see that Yarmolenko? Has there been a new one, Lauren? I'm not too sure. Plus, look at the state of the club when they took over from the Icelandic owners. Moyes should have bought Halozic, though, a gamble, but so what? But then, do you know what, Vinny? There was a player we were linked to, what's his name? Sima. Do you remember Sima? There's a video I'm sure Russ has done in the last couple of weeks about the players we were linked to and how well they're doing or how not well that they're doing. And Sima isn't doing great. I'm not saying he wouldn't work for West Ham. I'm just saying, there's obviously a reason we haven't brought in a player like Halozic. There just must be a reason, and I just don't know what that is. Who's the lump Burnley got? We were linked to. Looks all right. Is that the big forward I can't pronounce his name. We are Veghurst at Burnley would have done a great job for us, and he may have done a good job for us. But we have got Burnley. Every team's got a scouting system, so they're always going to go and find a diamond in the rough. And it seems to be that they've found someone. And also, Mark, you're right. Halozic has been out for 2 months as well. Andrew's saying, I was hoping after Suchek and Sofal that we'd explore that part of Europe more, especially now the new stakeholder is there. And the thing is, I thought we would, and we kind of did by bringing in Alex Kroll, but it just doesn't fancy him. Should have gone bigger for Nunes. I think the thing about Nunes is, and the players that we were linked to is, I was surprised that if the deal was done so late in the window, was it done so late? I don't know. Was it fed out? I don't know the whole situation behind it as well. Anton, do you need another goldfish in that tank for your company? There's 2 in there, but do you know what? The one benefit of having the tank right here is because you guys are going to make me clean it every single time I need to clean it. And I'm not going to lie to you, the goldfish are fine. They're surviving perfectly great, but maybe I just need to clean it a little bit more. So you're going to make me do it. So apologies for that. Word is Nunes is injured and out for quite a while. Don't think Moyes likes players under 21. Peter, Liverpool game is one touch from behind the sofa, like the old Doctor Who show from the 70s. Mice saying need more players like Zuma, great player, great moral compass, and asset. Don't see why the kids on the bench aren't given a chance from Paul Evans. And I actually thought the game against Southampton really, honestly, I don't know why I think it sometimes, but I'm like, I even texted the group and I was like, just as a text, Vlasic was stripping off and coming on. And I was like, this game, we were creating chances, especially in the first half. Put Perkins and put Okaflex on and see if they can convert the chances. I couldn't see the harm in it because we were creating, putting boxes into the ball, but we couldn't do anything with it. Andrew's saying when he signed Benny, he nursed him into the squad and was a bit of a player for the first season. Look at that panned out his second season. He's come on a ton. He has, but he's lacking the confidence as well. Liverpool not look forward to playing West Ham after the last game. Need Antonio Dawson, Zuma, Lanzini, and other big lads to bully Liverpool. Absolutely. Peter saying saw someone the reason we didn't go for the bloke who went to Burnley is because he's anti-vax. Sell Benny. We need a proper winger desperately. Benny is not a Moyes signing. Is Moyes putting players off from joining? Fremer says we should have an efficient scouting system in place now. If the club really, really wanted to get a player or two, it could have done it. I'm still not convinced in Moyes' words. Vinny says, I'm jealous. Burnley got Weghurst. Need a big, tough lump like him. Antonio got some competition. Andrew says, okay, Benny's not a Moyes signing, but he didn't just throw him into the mix. We agree with the Mice Collective and stand by assertion that does are cool, with the exception of Yorkshire Terriers. Bring the goldfish onto camera. Anton, I feel personally attacked by that hangover. And don't feel it. I'm just trying to use it as an analogy. You know, I hope it I don't know. I hope it makes sense. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Moyes doesn't like flair players. I think he kind of does. I think you could say Lanzini is. Yeah, and yeah, rest in peace to Shane Warne. Like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Actually, there was another legend of the cricket world who died yesterday, and Shane Warne actually tweeted it as well. No, it's not a cricket show. And then suddenly today you hear that Shane Warne has died of a heart attack as well. So it's yeah, rest in peace. Unless we see Vlasic have a run of games instead of 15 minutes here, there, we won't know if he's good and would come good. Yep, you're right, mate. You are right. Let me go back to the press conference and find out the slide I'm on. Let's get on to one of the men of the moment, and that is Antonio. Misha's more, you know, the question a lot of people are asking is about, you know, what is the situation with Antonio? Can he play specific games? All that sort of stuff. So the question was, if Mickey Antonio plays tomorrow, that'll be 3 games in 6 days. Are you comfortable he can cope with a schedule like that? And his answer was, Misha's more than capable of playing the games. We need him. He's an important member of our squad. We're mindful and we do try to give him some time off when we can. So we've tried to prepare him the best we can. He got a goal the other night, and I hope he starts going on a really good run now. And I completely understand that. I think he could go on a good run. I think he was better. I think he's suiting the system. It's working for him a little bit. He didn't convert the chances, but it wasn't just him that didn't convert the chances. He did convert a chance, but not the rest of the chances. So I was a bit disappointed. And that's why, you know, I kind of said in the group, I was like, I can see why he would bring on some of the younger players, because we were creating opportunity after opportunity, especially in the first half, but we weren't putting the chances away. And that's what we need to be getting sorted out. Let me jump into the chat here and say, Vinny saying Vlasic may come through. As it stands, though, the sanctions, he is almost a free transfer. Well, listen, we have to wait and see what happens there. The rules and regulations, I think people have gone out and asked FIFA and UEFA for all the rules, etc. But obviously, they're trying to tighten up the deals that people are making with Russia and closing up shop. So it might mean that West Ham, you know, we've got our next payment, which is due in August. So that might change things moving forward, but we'll have to wait and see moving forward as well. Although Moyes got players working hard, I feel he's held a few back, and he could have, you know, it's a valid point as well, mate. David Antonio is important because he's all we've got. Yeah, you kind of are right as well. Nope, I bet you didn't believe we didn't land in the moon. Where do you think Anton found stuff? Absolutely. Right, he goes on and speaks about Jared Bowen. Now, the reason why he speaks about Jared Bowen in particularly is because he's actually asked about him. And he says that Jurgen Klopp said Jared Bowen is an unbelievable player. How would you describe him? And he said that I see Jared Bowen as a player who's making unbelievable progress as a player, and he continues to make progress. That's always the thing you want to see from players, how they continue to make progress, and Jared has stepped up. I have to say Jared himself has done really well, but we have a huge admiration for the players that Liverpool Football Club have. Now, we do know that in training, there's a similar style to how they potentially train and look at the system that Liverpool play with some of their players and emulate that with Jared Bowen. And I mean, listen, he's phenomenal. He's fantastic. He's a great player. He always gives us an outlet, and it's really, really good to see. And it's exciting to have a player like that that can cause bother against a big team like Liverpool. And I think this is where the games where you want Bowen has stepped up, but step up even further. Step up even further when you're coming up against a side who is trying to win the league as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. Right, Moyes then goes on and is asked about the fixtures, how it's having an impact. He said, we're not pleased with the Premier League that we've had to play so many games in quick succession. 3 games in 6 days would not be correct. Completely agree with the sentiment. However, there is a part of me, I mean, he's getting asked the question, so he's going to answer it. But I think there's an element of David Moyes that is like that saying, no, we shouldn't be playing that amount of games. He's probably right. But you've got to think back to the old days and how the players played those games. When you listen to Tony Coyte, you listen to Frank McAvenny, it's constant game after game after game after game. The boys of the 86, game after game after game, and they just had to deal with it, and that was the nature of the game that they play in. I know the modern day game is different. I know these players are more like athletes, but do you know what? Sometimes teams use it to their advantage. When they've not played well, then they bounce back and come on and do another game, and then they get the opportunity quickly to try and correct that. but we'll see. Right, we'll go in. NWO is shouting, and he's saying over 300 FIFA Reg players and coaches have developed heart conditions since being jabbed, but don't know how. Oh, well, don't know about that as well. Instead of trying to walk the ball in most of the time, we should take a few more pot shots like the Southampton player did. Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with that. Sometimes there has been occasions where I think Benny's been kind of one of those guys as well. Is like sometimes trying to play the ball into the back of the net. There was several occasions against Southampton outside the 18-yard box that they were doing the same as well. So yeah, we'll know as well. Players need to treat Sevilla game like a cup final. Absolutely. These goldfish must feel quite intelligent compared to some of the chat. No wonder they're looking smug. Can you even see them? I think they're attracted to the lava lamp. Can you see the lava lamp? I think they're attracted to the lava lamp. So yeah, there you go. Right, he goes on and he's asked about leaders of the game. You know what it takes to be a leader of the game. I'm trying to find the exact question that he's asked about leaders. Well, I've just totally lost it. Anyway, he says, I look at some exceptional leaders for England. Jordan Henderson. I mean, listen, I'm sorry, I have to quickly stop that there. You know, Jordan Henderson, I don't know. Liverpool players love him. Yeah. Anyway, Harry Maguire, Harry Kane, and the good thing Declan Rice has had is this opportunity to see how they work. And then he's had a brilliant, loyal captain who for many years has carried the dressing room at this football club, Mark Noble. Leadership can come in different ways, some through talking and communicating, some through their actions, some the biggest thing is that on the field, you have to take responsibility, want the ball, and take responsibility for the team no matter how it goes. Mark Noble, over the years, has done that for West Ham, and Declan at the moment is doing a really good job of following it. And it's so true. He is a natural born leader. He's a natural born captain. He's bloody fantastic. And I'm so proud of him being in the West Ham shirt. And I said it to my dad the other day. If you've not had a chance to go and listen to the interview he does with Gary Neville, please go and check it out because it's fantastic. What a humble young man who pulls on the shirt. And there's nothing he says that I disagree with. He wants to win everything. He won the London Player of the Year, Player of the Season, Player of the Year, whatever it is, and rightly so, because he is next level, and we need to ensure that we keep him and build around him, because if we can only but get better. And if we use this as a transitional season, so be it. As long as we can progress in the summer, buy in the summer, and build big, then that would be huge. Paul Evans is saying, why do we have to play with such poor rest? Because it is really poor. It is really poor. I totally agree with that one. I don't actually feel personally attacked. That was a joke about alcohol. I know. Peter says, Moyes looked like he had lost his bag of toffees after the match. So, yeah, absolutely. Moyes then was asked about bouncing back, of course, on the back of the defeat against Southampton. He said, the thing about our players, they've been really resilient, even in lockdown and continued games and the periods when we were really busy. Even last year, they backed it up and came good again. So I've got a lot of confidence it will happen with the fixtures we've got. It's made it a really difficult week for us. Let's always remember we have a really difficult task going to Anfield. They tend to have really good teams and top managers. And because of that, it's always a hard game when you go to Anfield. And of course it is. And listen, I really would love to be there. It's a game I would always go to because it's not that far really for me to get to. But because I'm going to Seville, I have to pick and choose the games I'm going to. So I'm disappointed I'm not going, but I have the faith, I have the faith as long as West Ham turn up and take the game to them and don't respect the opposition and don't do what we've done in the past before Moyes or right at the start of the Moyes tenure, which is, take it easy on us. And if you're going to win the game, you're going to win the game. We're capable on our day of putting goals past Liverpool. We can put goals past Liverpool. And I think that would be, let's hope we go into the game thinking in that mindset rather than going, we're coming up against the team that's in second, fighting to win the league, and let's put a dampener on their season, because that's what happened the last time we played them in the Premier League this season when we beat them 3-2 as well. So what are you all talking about? Let's not get political in the chat. Can you imagine Declan playing alongside Julian Dix? Where's my head at? Absolutely, mate. It would be huge, wouldn't it? I said, you reckon Boogers was our best buy. Obviously, you haven't supported us long enough to know who that was. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Not me, anyway. I was hoping you and Stell would be on a plane together. Well, we're not on a plane together, but we are actually staying together. So, yeah, everyone is shouting in the chat. Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to it. Moyes goes on and talks about Liverpool. He's asked about them. He says, I think at the moment we have a Premier League full of top teams in Europe. We've got Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City. The Premier League's so difficult, but also so good that we've got that level of game. Going to Anfield was very difficult, and it's been for me over the years, but hopefully it gets better for me this time. And let's, fingers crossed, hope he does, and that does. And that brings an end to our press conference. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've given you as much information as I can on the lead up to the big match preview, the match day build-up show that we're going to do at 9 o'clock tonight. So please make sure you come and join myself and Matt and maybe a couple of extra special guests as well. It'll be interesting. We'll be discussing what team we think we should put out, what players you think you should play, who you should fear, what formation Moyes might play, who's fit, who's not fit, who's fit for the opposition, who's not fit for the opposition. So make sure you do come and check it out 9 o'clock tonight for the match preview. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you all stay safe. Stop fighting in the chat. Let's all be friends. Let's stop shouting. And we'll all stay safe. Thank you very much, like I said, for joining us. Stay safe. Come on, you irons.
It's like a family tree.